Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something fascinating and, honestly, kind of terrifying. It's a concept that operates entirely in plain sight, yet we almost never talk about how the mechanics of it actually work. We're looking at reputation laundering among the ultra-wealthy. How exactly do the world's most notorious figures, people who have left a literal trail of ruined lives and shattered businesses behind them, somehow end up celebrated in our history books and on our movie screens?
Okay, let's dive into this. What on earth connects a ruthless 19th century oil baron with a 1990s penny stock scammer? I mean, we're talking about two vastly different eras of American greed, separated by well over a century, and yet they share a distinct, almost identical playbook. They both basically figured out the ultimate cheat code to legacy.
I call this cheat code the forgiveness economy. It's basically this unspoken rule in our society where massive financial crimes, ruthless monopolies, and completely ruined lives are just eventually forgotten by the public. But there's a catch, right? The public only forgets if the person responsible eventually gives us something shiny in return. That could be a literal dime, a massive library, or a highly entertaining blockbuster movie. Basically, if you hoard enough money, you can literally afford to buy the eraser for your own history.
Section 1, Case Study A, The Builder, Rockefeller's Ruthless Monopoly.
Nowadays, when you hear the name Rockefeller, you probably think of immense prestige, towering centers in New York City, elite universities. But back in the late 1800s, John D. Rockefeller was arguably the most hated businessman in America. And to understand his monopoly, you really have to understand the man himself. Rockefeller was taught by his father, a con artist who was literally known as Devil Bill. This guy traveled around selling fake cancer cures to dying people. That incredibly sharp, concrete detail from his childhood taught John a very specific worldview early on. Trust was a weakness, and absolutely everyone was a mark. And he took that lesson straight to heart when building Standard Oil. Now, what's really interesting here is how exactly that childhood lesson translated into corporate strategy. Because Standard Oil wasn't just a successful business. It was a machine designed to swallow every competitor in its path. He didn't just outwork his rivals. For step 1, he made secret backroom deals with railroads to get these massive shipping discounts. For step 2, he deployed actual spy networks to track his competitors. And for step 3, if you still didn't sell out to him, he would cut off your supply chains and literally sabotage your pipelines. It was the systematic, calculated destruction of independent oilmen. And the result of all those ruthless tactics? 90%. By the year 1879, John D. Rockefeller controlled 90% of the entire American oil industry. Let the sheer terrifying scale of that sink in for a second. One man dictating the absolute flow of a resource that was actively fueling the Industrial Revolution. So he hits his monopoly peak in 1879. But then, this brilliant journalist named Ida Tarbell begins exposing his ruthless tactics. This massive public outcry ultimately leads to 1911, when the U.S. Supreme Court orders his huge monopoly to be broken up. But here's the great irony of it all. When the empire shattered, the individual pieces skyrocketed in value. The breakup actually made Rockefeller the world's first confirmed billionaire. However, as he aged into his later years, the public still totally despised him. He realized his time was running out to change how he'd be remembered. So what did he do? Well, he executed what we can call the first PR pivot. Rockefeller hired the world's very first public relations experts to literally scrub his name clean. He started appearing in public as this kindly grandfather, famously handing out shiny new dimes to children. But he also deployed his immense wealth really strategically. He poured his fortune into philanthropy, founding the University of Chicago and funding vital medical research that actually helped eradicate diseases like hookworm and yellow fever. Was it genuine guilt or just a calculated con? Honestly, we'll never know for sure. But society gladly took the money, and over time, totally forgot about the broken families he stepped on to get it. Let's move to our next subject and see how this builds, because when we compare Rockefeller with Jordan Belfort, a pretty stark difference emerges. Rockefeller, despite his completely terrifying tactics, did build a necessary industry. He organized oil. Belfort, on the other hand, was just straight up scamming innocent people out of their hard-earned money. So the crimes devolved from harsh industrialism to outright brazen fraud. And yet, as you're about to see, the forgiveness playbook remained exactly the same.
Section 2, Case Study B, The Scammer, The Wolf of Wall Street.
So in the 1990s, Jordan Belfort built a brokerage firm called Stratton Oakmont.
But let's be real clear about what this place actually was. It wasn't high finance. It was essentially a strip mall boiler room filled with neighborhood hustlers and college dropouts. The gravity of his crimes cannot be overstated here, and it's absolutely crucial we focus on who he actually hurt. He wasn't taking money from billionaire hedge funds who could afford to take a loss. He used this high-pressure sales tactic he called straight-line persuasion to target working-class retirees, veterans, and teachers. He sold them hope wrapped in false certainty, actively draining the life savings of everyday hardworking people. His firm artificially pumped up the price of these completely worthless garbage penny stocks and then just dumped them. This left innocent families entirely bankrupt, left holding the bag, while Belfort took their money to go buy yachts, mansions, and helicopters. And when the FBI finally caught him, the wolf rolled over immediately. He wore a wire, flipped on his own friends, and as a reward for that, served just 22 months in a minimum security facility, where he basically played tennis and lifted weights. Just think about the sheer devastation of the families who lost their homes, contrasted with that absolute slap-on-the-wrist punishment. But here's where the true magic of the forgiveness economy happens: after prison. During his brief stint, Belfort met comedian Tommy Chong, who convinced him to write a book about his wild, drug-fueled crimes. And that book became a massive hit, leading to the pop culture pivot. Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio turned it into a global blockbuster. Society didn't cancel him for ruining working-class lives. Nope. Instead, we bought movie tickets, we ate popcorn, and laughed as his massive fraud was turned into high-budget entertainment. Today, the man who lied to investors and destroyed retirements is a highly paid motivational speaker. He goes by the moniker The Wolf, and he wears this title not with shame, but like a badge of honor, using his infamy to brand himself as this premier sales coach. The architect of financial ruin is literally getting standing ovations. So the crucial point really comes down to one jarring figure: $110 million. That is the amount of court-ordered restitution that Jordan Belfort still owes to his victims. While he's out living as a celebrated pop culture icon, the families who remortgaged their homes have received next to nothing. It's a stark whiplash showing just how unbalanced this economy of forgiveness truly is. Section 3. The synthesis, the price of outrage. When we look at these two case studies side by side, we really have to ask ourselves what this reveals about our collective morality. How is it that we can so easily look past the profound damage inflicted by these individuals? And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the transaction works. Rockefeller bought our forgiveness with libraries, universities, and medicine. Belfort bought it with raw charisma and Hollywood entertainment. In both instances, the public just eagerly accepted the bribe. We chose to marvel at the extreme wealth, the audacity, and the spectacle, rather than standing firm and demanding justice for the ruined lives left in their wake. Which leaves us with this final, honestly pretty unsettling question. Does society actually want to punish the ultra-rich when they cross the line? Or, deep down, do we just want to be them? I really want to know your perspective on this. Did Belfort deserve his Hollywood ending? Was Rockefeller's philanthropy just a calculated stunt? Drop your thoughts on the comments. And hey, if you found this explainer insightful, please like and subscribe so we can keep dissecting these fascinating concepts together. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.